If you've been on the internet for long enough, chances are that you've stumbled across something resembling this video. It's iconic, referenced in so many rhythm games, and overall meme culture, even now. Bad Apple was a track in a game called Touhou, Lotus Land Story. Then, it got remixed in a fan album called Lovelight in 2007, but it saw a more wider appeal when it got put in this video back in 2009. I remember watching it for the first time and then asking, what the hell is this song from? And after some digging I found out, but in turn ended up with so many more questions. Touhou. It's a long-running series made by one singular person called Zun, although he does sometimes get help from other programmers. He created the gameplay engine, he drew the art, he then composed the music, everything was done by him. And the community that this game has created is one of the most creative, passionate and talented fan bases out there. There are bullet hell games, Metroidvania fan games, fighting games, and even a music rhythm game, all branding that same Touhou name. But what is it about? Why is it called Touhou? Why does it look like my screen's having a seizure? Where does someone who is interested in this start? Where does this Touhou iceberg begin? Oh hey, that's the title of the video. Just a bit of a forewarning, this will be a fairly surface level look into this, so I do apologise if I get any details wrong, please let me know in the comments below. So anyway, what better way to start this than with the game's solo creator? Zun, or Uta Jr., is the sole member of Team Shanghai Alice, meaning that he is the designer, programmer, scriptwriter, copy maker, post-it organizer, and composer of the Touhou Project. Which is very impressive when you look at just how big this whole franchise has gotten, spanning not only Japan, but also gathering worldwide appeal. He started working on the Touhou Project back in 1996, while he was studying college, programming, drawing, and composing everything himself. Then in 1998, he started working at Taito. He stayed there until 2007, making Touhou games as a side project during that time, and it's been cited that he left due to a lack of interest in the job. Touhou quickly became one of his passion projects, with him making the original 5 games on the PC-98, before moving over to Windows in 2002. Again, as stated, he was working at Taito during this time. So not only was he making games for his professional job, he was also making games as a side hobby, which begs the question, did this guy ever rest? There was a small hiatus between the PC-98 games and the Windows releases, as he wanted to focus on college work at the time. However, after the first Windows release, the snowball started to roll, and before he knew it, a reasonable community formed. As for why he keeps making these games, he said in an email that he keeps making them under Team Shanghai Alice because he can't find any games that he liked himself. Which I honestly respect. Imagine looking for your Steam library going, I don't like anything, and then just making the game that you want to play. Pretty much all of this information was taken from the Touhou wiki, so if you do want to know more, I do recommend checking that place out. So, what kind of game did he make? What is Touhou? Well, have you ever heard of the term bullet hell, or danmaku, is a genre of shoot 'em up that has been around since 1993. The origin of the genre is credited to a game called Batsugun, which was made by Toplan. The gameplay usually involves the player dodging a large amount of projectiles, usually assorted in patterns of varying complexity, getting more and more complex as the game goes on. Some games have point bonuses the more enemies you kill while dodging these bullets, while others have something called a grazing bonus, where you narrowly avoid getting hit, weaving through the bullets like someone trying to dodge raindrops. To make things more fair, because let's face it, if it's your first time playing the game and you see this, you're going to need at least some bone thrown your way. The hitbox for the player is actually quite forgiving, usually something like the cockpit or some part of the player sprite that cannot be hit, instead of the whole model itself. Along with this, to even the playing field, the player usually has some screen cleaning bombs as well, as a get out of dodge maneuver if the bullets are getting a little bit too much for you to handle. Along with this, the patterns also do not change, so if you play the game enough times, you will learn it. So it's not hard for the sake of being hard, it's hard because the game wants you to memorize its patterns. Kind of like how Dark Souls asks you to learn the boss attacks, or a racing game expects you to memorize the track layout. Once you spend enough time in the game and get to grips of what the game asks you, then there's nothing stopping you from playing it from start to end with little issue. An example of this would be if you look at any of the cave shoot-em-ups. You'll find people playing it like it's nothing, weaving in and out of bullets without breaking a sweat. Not me though. I'm not good at these. I get easily distracted by the bright colours and usually end up flying headfirst into a wall of bullets. So, we spoke about the creator and what kind of genre Touhou is, but what's it about? The world of Touhou is based in an area called Gensokyo, a large plot of land that is pretty much caged in something called the Great Hakuri Barrier, and is full of yokai. This barrier separates it from the outside world, however, there are some humans that live inside the barrier as well. Passing through this barrier is nigh on impossible for most average humans. The ones that do cross over this barrier is either due to some outside help, they are nabbed by someone on the inside, or it's by complete accident. There are several key locations that appear throughout several games, both official and fan-made, namely the Hakuri Shrine, the Scarlet Devil Mansion, or the fantastically named Human Village. When the game first started out on the PC-98, a lot of this set dressing was still being figured out, so a lot of this didn't really get fleshed out until the Windows release. As for the characters, one of the most recognisable ones is probably Rimu, the Shrine Maiden who looks after the Hakuri Shrine. She has the largest amount of appearances in the games out of any character, and is probably considered the poster girl for these games. Personality-wise, she's usually fairly easygoing, often spending her time looking after the shrine, sweeping the floors, and just making sure it's in good condition before relaxing somewhere nearby. However, despite this, she's usually the first one to jump into action whenever something happens, and really doesn't like it when people waste her time when doing so, which is usually the course for most of the game's boss fights. Next up, we have Marissa, the other poster girl for these games, having the second most amount of game appearances, usually playing second fiddle to Rimu. Her personality is also fairly different from Rimu's. While Rimu is easygoing, Marissa is a diligent hard worker, constantly working on her own skills so she can be known as a great magician. This can, however, work against her, as she can be pretty set on doing things her own way, sometimes putting herself in danger. And while Rimu is the first one to jump into action, there have been many times where this only happens because Marissa is the one that pushes her to act, probably due to the matter at hand interesting her, or her finding it as some way to improve her skills. Most of the games follow these two with one or two extra characters thrown in for good measure as they deal with the enemy of the week. These range from a vampire who fills the whole region with red gas, someone who wanted to borrow some spring energy to revive a giant sakura tree which had the side effect of making everything go really damn cold, and then there's one girl who just swapped out the moon with a convincing replica. Even if you've never played the games, there is a chance that you've seen at least some of these characters that you end up fighting. If not from the countless amounts of fan art or songs, then by these little fumos. However, even after explaining all of this, there's a good chance that you won't even need to play any of the official works. There's a joke within the fanbase that most of the fans don't even play the official games. They tend to get most of their enjoyment from... Oh man, where do we even start with this? There is a large chance that most people's introduction to Touhou is through fan work. I mentioned Bad Apple at the beginning of the video, but that's just one of many ways fans show their love for this franchise. You have no shortage of fan art, even fan-made animations which really make me wish I was an actual show of this. Not counting the actual animated shows that were made by fans, and as far as quality goes, it's amazing that fans can create something like this. There's one anime that's about 17 episodes currently, and while quality is a bit hit and miss, and some of the story arcs fall very similar to one another, the lengths of the episodes seemingly getting shorter and shorter with each episode made, and the characters acting more like their fanon versions. Fanon. Noun. Meaning. Characters acting like how their fan base perceives them instead of how they're actually written. It's still an impressive feat in its own right. There are countless fan remixes and songs based on tracks in the game, Bad Apple being the more popular example, but there are others that are just as popular. You have cosplayers dressing up as one of the many different characters in the series, and trust me, there are many different characters to pick. And finally, there are fan games, some of which have become official releases that are sold on stores like Steam. We have shoot 'em ups like the original games, Metroidvanias, fighting games, gacha games, even a rhythm game that, guess what, has a shoot 'em up mode in it. I guess all we're missing now is the eventual Fortnite collab. So if you're looking for something, there's bound to be something that interests you. There is a reason why the fans have that joke about people not playing the official releases. It's because with so much content to choose from, some people will just pick the content that they themselves would enjoy, which is perfectly fair. Bullet hells are not for everyone. They are the Dark Souls of shoot 'em ups, so to speak. So the fact that they can still enjoy the series through fan-made media is great. I personally struggle with bullet hells. Too many colours and moving parts in my eyes to keep track of. There's a reason why the footage you see never gets past the 3rd level no matter how hard I try, oh god damn it. Because of this, I tend to immerse myself in the series by listening to fan music or remixes. The standard tracks are all great, you can tell that Zuna has a passion for music. However, the fan remixes take these already great songs and just transforms them into something else entirely. If you are a rhythm game fan, there's also a chance that you've heard some of these songs before. Taiko often has 1 or 2 songs from Touhou in there, and REDASH has several songs as well. And that's not even counting how many versions of these songs are on Osu. I myself love rhythm games, so these usually tend to be my go-to songs when I just want to play something quickly. So when I saw that there was a Touhou rhythm game on Steam, with a fair few popular fan remixes in there, you bet that I slapped down some money and bought it. I love me some rhythm game action. There's even a remix with Toby Fox of Undertale and Deltarune fame in there. It's honestly crazy just how deep this rabbit hole goes. Which is why I wanted to make this video. This is just the tip of a very large Touhou-shaped iceberg. If I really wanted to delve deeper into this video would be 2 hours long and I would only barely have scratched the surface. For a game series that's been around since the beginning of the 2000s, they have not had much in terms of controversy. Don't get me wrong, I said not much. There was a really messy situation a few years ago involving copyrights for these big head versions of the characters, which resulted in a bomb threat being called. This was a bit of a mess overall. There was no proof that the person who was filing this copyright was the one who even made the meme format. Along with the fact that they were trying to copyright a meme format in general, it's kind of like me trying to copyright caricatures of Mario and Sonic. It just doesn't make any sense. The original version of this meme was an ASCII forum post originally from 2chan, which was then given form further when someone drew it, and the rest just kind of snowballed from there. So the idea that someone can just try and copyright it years later did not sit right with the fanbase. This is not helped when fans had confirmed with the ASCII art curator, the illustrator, and Zun that anybody can freely use these. As for how this ended, the trademark got removed shortly after. I'm guessing the bomb threats made them rethink approving it. The passion from this fanbase cannot be understated. If you do something out of the community's rules, they will crack down on you. This passion is only mirrored by their sheer creativity. If there's a game genre in mind, you can bet anything there's a Touhou fan game of it. If there's a popular song, a version of that song is made with the Touhou sound font. If there's a meme going around, there's going to be a Touhou version soon enough. As I said before, I was drawn in by the music, namely the fan remixes, as there are several that are just right up my alley in terms of music taste. But I stayed because there's just so much content to enjoy, it seems almost endless. If you do want to know more about the Fanworks, the animes that the fans made, or lore of the games, I will link some videos below for you to watch as a starting point, because if I'm going down this rabbit hole, I'll be sure that I'll take as many people down with me. Hello, thanks for watching this very surface level dive into the Touhou universe. I hope you liked it. I wanted to get this video out before Monster of the Wild's released, because I won't be doing much of anything while I'm playing that game. The next video was supposed to be Disaster Report 4, but that video is turning into a bit of a behemoth. So I figured something a bit more bite-sized might be better. If you want to see more videos that I've done, I made a video looking into video game adaptations. There's also this video which is basically every single video I made in 2024. Basically a lo-fi Chazpic to study and listen to, if you will. If I've gotten things wrong or mispronounced some things, please let me know, and if you can, please like and subscribe, it does help out a lot. In the meantime, if you want to see more of my ramblings, you can always follow me on Blue Sky, and I'll see you lot in the next video, where hopefully we'll look into Disaster Report 4. Ciao!